This is color theory for grade 7. It is honestly the coolest thing in my opinion. In this video, I will be introducing you to color theory and walking you through some of the steps to make this color wheel. And then we will make this window in class so you can use it to choose and see color families. You guys are expected to have all of the definitions of your vocabulary words. Fill in all of the blanks and the missing bullet points in these notes. You should also have the notes that I have written down. We will cover color theory vocabulary, why we experience or see color, the color wheel, and color families. All of the information following this must be in your notes. Do not need this page, it is just my introduction. Let's begin with vocabulary. Please don't freak out. I know there's a lot. We will be using these words all throughout the entire class. We've got a total of 17 of them. I will read them to, well, I will not read them to you. I would like you guys to pause this video and copy these notes down. Here's the first 11. We've got color, color wheel, color family, protractor, degree, palette, primary, secondary, tertiary, warm, cool. And then monochromatic, analogous, complementary, tint, shade, and tone. I will be looking for all 17 of these words and their definitions in the back of your logbook next time we see each other in class. Moving on to our notes. Copy all of these notes down and fill in the blanks. Color and why we experience. Color is white light divided into wavelengths. Examples of white light are light that comes from artificial light, light that comes from the sun. I'm just going to show you outside. Not positive where the sun is at the moment. There are two systems of primary colors. One is additive and the other is subtractive. We are going to focus on subtractive color. Color is how we see reflected light. We call it subtractive color because the light that is absorbed by an object we do not see. What's left is color that's reflected by the object. This is the color that we see. We see the wavelengths that are left over after the object absorbs all other wavelengths. For example, this person is experiencing this apple as red because the white light that is coming from the sun is being absorbed, all of the wavelengths except for red, which are reflected and enter our eyes. I say that we are experiencing the apple as red as opposed to the apple is red because the apple is absorbing every other color. So we could get into a philosophical discussion about whether the apple is actually red or every color except red. What we can agree on is we are all experiencing the apple as red. 2. The color wheel. A color wheel is a tool that artists use to help them remember how to mix colors and the relationships between colors. This is my color wheel. You guys will be making one. There are 3 types of colors on the color wheel. There are primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Please check your vocabulary for the spelling on those words. if we look at my color wheel, you'll see that I have primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. Secondary colors, green, orange, and purple. And then tertiary colors, which are located between every primary and secondary color. The names for those are yellow-green, blue-green, blue-purple, red-violet, red-orange, and yellow-orange. Keep in mind that there is a spectrum or a wide range of yellow-oranges. Yellow-orange is any color that exists between yellow and orange. It's oranger than yellow and more yellow than orange. It's like an infinite million different yellow-oranges located between yellow and orange. Notice that this color wheel has a pattern. It goes primary, tertiary, secondary, tertiary, primary, tertiary, secondary, tertiary, primary, tertiary, secondary, tertiary, primary. Notice also that if I take yellow and blue and drag them into the center, the color that's created is green. So we remember that we make green by mixing blue and yellow by heading to the right and left and finding the first primary color that we bump into on either side. If we wanted to make orange, we would head first to the right and hit, could I call that red? If we wanted to make orange, we would head first to the right and hit red, and then to the left where we hit yellow. That's how we know we make orange. We can also determine how to make tertiary colors this way. If we want to make a yellow-orange, we will head to the left and hit the first primary color, orange, and head to the right and then hit the first secondary color, orange. I called that orange, didn't I? Yellow, orange, make yellow-orange. Notice that you have to mix a specific primary and secondary color in order to create your tertiary color. If you were to mix the primary color yellow with the tertiary, or rather with the secondary color purple, you would end up getting brown. We will talk about that later. Notice brown is not on the color wheel. Those were the 3 types of colors. How to make a color wheel. First, you have a circle. We will be using paper plates. Then you find the center of the circle. I did this by folding my plate in half and just pinching around the middle. Then I folded it in half the other way and pinched it in the middle again. This gave me a cross, and in that cross I put a dot. I know that's the center of my circle. When you're folding your circle in half to find the center, it's very important to make sure that the edges of your plate are even. If they're like this, you won't have the center of the circle. Second, you are going to divide the circle into 12 equal parts using a protractor. Place the hole on your center. Make sure the line goes through your dot. Line up the 0 and the 180-degree mark. You're going to put a dot at the end of each of those. I pre-made this, so make sure your center dot is still within the circle. And then you're going to put a tick mark every 30 degrees. I will have step-by-step directions so you remember how to do this. You want to do that first on one half, then flip your protractor over, line it back up, Notice I'm taking time to make sure it's lined up nicely, even though I only have one hand, because I'm using my second hold my phone, and then mark each 30 degrees again. Last, you will connect your tick marks with a straight edge. I have my own personal ruler that I keep at home. You guys can use your personal ruler, or you can use one of the plastic straight edges that I created. Make sure that you are going through 2 dots that are on opposite ends of each other and the center of the circle. And you'll do that the whole way around until you have something like this over your whole plate. Next, you need to gather your tools. You need a palette, water, a paper towel, a paintbrush, and primary colors. You guys will be using your tubs. You will put water in the bottom of your tub. The top lid of your tub will be your palette. Notice I've mixed my colors on there. You will use a paper towel and a paintbrush. When you're picking out your paintbrush, it's very important to consider the size. I think I'm going to use this one because I know it's going to fit in the corners and I'll be able to get nice sharp lines. Next, you will set your palette up. Oh, I forgot my primary colors. Red, yellow, blue. Then you'll set your palette up. I put just a dot of my blue over here, just a dot of my yellow up here, which I used not olive, and just a dot of your red over here. Notice I arranged them in a triangle. That's because I know that I will be able to mix each of my secondary colors between those triangles. As you mix each color, you can add it to your color wheel. What I did is I added each of my primaries first, and then I mixed a secondary. I mixed a very red-orange first, put it there, added more yellow to get my secondary orange, and then added more yellow yet to get my yellow-orange. Then I washed my brush out in my tub the whole way, patted it dry on my towel, making sure that no color was left over, and then I switched to the next primary or secondary color mix. Your colors must be in the correct order. This is literally the only thing that you can get wrong in art. There is a right answer. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. If you do not get your colors in the correct order, you will have to wait for your paint to dry and paint over them. This is very important because this is a functional tool that we will be using throughout this class to choose color families and see what they look like together. After you paint your plate, you must clean up. To clean your palette, you will first dump the water into the sink. If you have some extra paint in there like I do, you can swish some water around in there and dump it back out. If you finished painting your whole plate, you can clean the paint off of your palette. There should be very little paint on your palette. We are filling small squares. If you are not finished painting your plate and you will need to use your palette again, you will take the bottom of your tub, put it over your palette, and snap it down. This will prevent your colors from drying out overnight, and then you can use them the next day. This is especially helpful if you have mixed a very nice color and don't want to have to mix it again. Your tub will go in your periods cabinet. Your paintbrush must be washed so that all pigment or color or paint is removed. Massage the bristles. Use soap if necessary. This is hard. And check on your wrist. Very hard. Or hand to make sure that there is no paint. That water is clear, there's no paint in there. When you put your paintbrush away, your bristles must be facing up. Notice that none of these paintbrushes have the bristles facing down. This is because it ruins the bristles. They will be stuck like this. It's kind of like sleeping on wet hair and you wake up and it's all over the place. This is not human hair though, so when we wash the brush again, it may not return back to its normal good state. Bristles always face up. Your paper towels must be put in the trash can. Section 3, color families. Color families are different ways that we can arrange colors together. There are lots of color families, we will only cover a few. As a review, you should know your warm colors. They are located on 1/2 of the color wheel. You should also know your cool colors. They are located on the other 1/2 of your color wheel. Monochromatic means you are only using one color plus its tints and shades. Notice that my monochromatic window only has one window, and as I move it around, I see only one color. It's kind of like a black and white picture, except done in blue, or another color of your choice. Analogous colors are located next to each other on the color wheel. They tend to have things in common. For example, this set of analogous colors are all made using red and yellow. Analogous is like analogy, things that are alike. If I move my analogous over to here, the things these colors have in common are yellow. I did not say blue because orange and yellow have no blue in them. The thing that they all have in common is yellow. Complementary colors are directly across from each other on the color wheel. They are opposites, just like black and white, except they are hues. There are 3 sets of complementary colors. Each set is made of 2 colors. The first set is orange and blue. The second set is red and green. The third set is yellow and purple. Each set of complementary colors has a primary color and a secondary color in it. Each set also has a warm color and a cool color. So if I move over to orange and blue, you'll notice blue is my primary and my cool, orange is my secondary and my warm. If you were to divide out the secondary color into its primaries, in this case, yellow and red, you will find that you have each primary color contained within your complementary color set. Red and yellow make orange, the opposite is blue. You can mix your complementary colors to create brown or gray. Depending on the type of red and blue that you use, you will get either brown or gray. If your blue is a cyan and your red is a magenta, you will end up with gray. If your red is more of a true red and your blue is more of a royal blue, you will get brown. You can always use tints, shades, and tones of colors within your chosen color family. For example, if I were using the complementary colors purple and yellow, I could mix them together to create a neutral. I could use tints, shades, and tones of both purple and yellow as well. In this way, there are way more colors available than you first realize. If I were using these analogous colors, red-purple, red, red-orange, and orange, I could mix them together within each other to create more variation, and I can also mix them with tints, shades, and tones of themselves. If I were using a monochromatic color, I cannot mix it with any other color. I can only use the tints, shades, and tones of that color. That concludes our color theory notes. It is the longest video you will ever have. There is a lot of information. I will see you in class tomorrow, and I will have some interesting bellwork questions to see how much you really understand. Ciao.